So today we're going to play a playlist, right, of Zaza videos. Only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the videos saved, but it is from CBD Bro, right? He's got awesome videos, shorts. What? So I was gonna share out some of his videos because I think they're pretty cool. Over here, over here, over here, over here, over here. Put his channel in the description. Okay. Burping. Burping, little boo. Right.
The devil's lettuce. It goes by many names. But today we're going to dive deep into the evolution of people who choose to indulge. People who open up their CB1 receptors and let the green goblin gas take over. From a potential puffer's first time all the way up to the dreaded status of Benjamin Zombie. Told the doctor I'm a healthy kid, I smoke broccoli. Now, that line definitely isn't medical advice. Sure, medical cannabis exists, but smoking anything isn't great for your lungs. And let's be honest, Kodak Black probably isn't sparking up to treat back pain or ADHD. Anyway, let's break down the evolution of a smoker in a scientific and educational way. From that first potentially hitting a pendulum 24/7 and why you really don't want it to get that far. We'll also look at the tipping point when weed shifts from a controlled though unhealthy little vice to a full-blown mental addiction. Plus we'll ask how much can weed be a part of your lifestyle without becoming destructive. Kind of like alcohol. Sure, it can be harmful, but if you're just having a few drinks once a week, who am I to judge? Everyone's journey is different, but there's one thing we all share: the first time. Every master starts here. Whether it was a planned, yo, let's try weed moment with your best friend or a casual, why not? The first smoke sets the tone for your evolution. That first experience matters. Some people try it once, geek out way too hard, and never touch it again. Others feel nothing and keep experimenting until it hits. And some enjoy the buzz right away and decide they want more. For me, at first nothing. Then a couple more puffs and I was super high for like 30 seconds. Then back to normal. Everyone's different, but if you had a positive first experience, odds are you'll climb higher on the evolution ladder, which brings us to the casual smoker. Here's the first real step. You're smoking knowingly now, maybe on weekends at a party or chilling in your buddy Steve's man cave. You're not sure why exactly. Maybe it's because weed chills you out without the hangover of alcohol, or because it makes the world feel just a little magical. At this point, weed isn't routine. You don't have your own stash, you treat it like an event. And the best part, you remember every high. 5 hours of Smash Bros and a family-sized pizza? Legendary. Wandering the suburbs baked? Iconic. Honestly, this stage is the sweet spot. Casual smoking is usually less harmful than drinking every weekend. Plus, it makes it so that almost every high is a memorable night. But chances are, eventually you'll evolve into the routine toker. Now, you're smoking more regularly. Not just with friends, but at the end of the day. You light up before a walk, chores, or just relaxing. You know it's bad for your lungs and that it makes you lazy, but in your mind, the juice is worth the squeeze. Still, sparking up as much as you do, at this point, it might be worth mixing in something easier on your lungs. That's exactly where today's sponsor, 5CBD, its 15 milligram gummies come in. 5 is pushing the limits with innovative nationwide legal Zaza, and their quick hits are the latest breakthrough. Unlike regular gummies that can take up to 45 minutes to hit, quick hits are formulated for maximum potency and minimum wait time. You'll start to feel it in just 10 to 15 minutes, which also helps to avoid that classic, these eddies ain't shit.
Plaid, a huge Plaid fan. Can you tell I like Plaid?
This Black Friday and Cyber Monday, get real bloating relief for 40% off, plus a chance to win a year's supply. Nature, backed by science. Stock up on gut health. Atrantil, get real bloating relief. Visit atrantil.com today. And the best part, if you've never tried them, Five is giving every new customer the chance to try quick hits for free. Already a customer? Returning customers get 50% off. All you have to do is be 21, head to the pinned comment, and check it out. By now, you're learning the basics. Strains, THC percentages, different methods, maybe some papers in a tray. You know a bowl hits harder and faster for those stare at the wall eating ramen nights, while a joint gives you a smoother, longer high for a walk around the park. At this stage, the high starts to feel less like a novelty and more like a tool. You can use it for deep convos, crazy observations, or even philosophy hour with your buddies. Where once you were just giggling at Shrek and demolishing Ben & Jerry's, now you might be debating the political and economic state of the world. Jaden Smith would be proud. You're not quite rocking a tinfoil hat ranting about Mark Zuckerberg being a reptile, but you wouldn't be mad if someone else brought it up. Which means you're creeping towards the casual stoner. This is where the mindset really shifts. You're no longer just an evening toker, sometimes you're sparking up during the day too. It's becoming part of your everyday life. At this point, you've probably Googled weed's medical benefits. You've read that it might help with anxiety, ADHD, or stress, and suddenly you're asking yourself, am I smoking because I like it or because I need it? Maybe you've always been more prone to enjoying it. Maybe it's your way of easing anxiety. You don't know for sure, but one day you're packing your 5th bowl in 2 hours and your homie looks at you like, yo bro, maybe you should cool it on the Zaza. This is a pivotal moment. Your response determines everything. Do you laugh it off and actually cool it? Or do you lean back, exhale, and drop the undefeated line, bro, it's low-key medical. If you pick the second answer, congratulations. You're on the fast track to the next stage, the Daily Stoner. This is a stage where things flip. Back in the casual stoner days, you smoked during the day occasionally. Now it's the other way around. You occasionally don't. Wake and bakes have become a sacred ritual. You roll out of bed with all the weight of life on your shoulders, school, your job, your investment account, and instead of tackling them sober, you think, yeah, I'll deal with all this, but I'll do it high. All right, let's see. Investment account, I'll check the stocks tomorrow. Job? Shit, I'll just call in sick. School? Well, I'd open my laptop, but the battery's dead. Guess I'll charge it while I go play Borderlands 4. Wow, what a productive morning. Got everything done in 3 minutes. That's the illusion of the Daily Stoner. You convince yourself, yeah, I wake and bake, but I still get stuff done. And technically you're not wrong. You do get things done, but weed warps your definition of productive. Something that would have taken you 15 minutes sober now takes an hour, and by the end of it, you feel like you just worked a 12-hour shift. Progress is still happening, just at a snail's pace. The bigger issue, your tolerance is climbing to skyscraper levels, because, well, you don't always aim to get obliterated during the day, you still blow yourself to orbit at night. Combine that with a dulled work ethic, and suddenly you're spending record high amounts of money on weed while earning less, because let's face it, you're prioritizing a chill lifestyle over hustle. And if you keep leaning into that chill side, sliding further and further down, you'll wake up one day and realize you've officially crossed into full-blown stoner. Water versus weed. Which one's more important? The obvious answer is water, but the fact that you hesitated, even for a millisecond, and thought, wait, no weed? Yeah, that's the sign. You've officially evolved into the full-blown stoner. This is where my own experience starts to taper off, because I never made it this far myself, but from what I've seen, the difference between a daily stoner and a full-blown stoner is subtle, yet massive. The daily stoner still believes they're enhancing life with weed, using it to make something boring bearable or something fun even better. At this stage though, that illusion is gone. Here, being high is the baseline, the normal state. No more, oh shit, I'm too high moments. No more novelty, no more magic. What used to feel like a rocket launch now just feels like existing. And while that might sound chill, it comes with a heavy trade-off. The wonder of the Za has faded. The excitement that made it special is gone, and in its place is a quiet dependency. Weed stops being a semi-unhealthy vice you choose and becomes a silent addiction you can't imagine life without. This right here is the turning point. Some people never get past it. Some people catch themselves and scale back, but if you don't, there's one final grim stage of evolution waiting ahead, and it's a place you really don't want to end up. The Benjamin Zombie. Wake up, Benjamin. Eat breakfast, Benjamin. Clock in at school or work, Benjamin. Light up again, Benjamin. Repeat! Life becomes a loop, a hazy carousel that never stops spinning. The world feels like it's moving in slow motion, like you're stuck on a never-ending train ride with foggy windows. And the destination, nowhere good. Usually a one-way track toward burnout, paranoia, or full-blown psychosis if you don't slam the brakes, brah. By this stage, there's no wonder in weed anymore. No spark, no giggles, no creativity. Honestly, you don't even like it anymore. It's not fun, it's just what you do, like brushing your teeth or scrolling your phone. It's become automatic, a reflex. You smoke not to elevate, but to avoid the emptiness of sobriety. And that's the saddest part. The plant that once made music sound richer, food taste better, and sunsets glow brighter has been stripped of all its charm. Now it's just fuel for a fading engine. You're not living with weed anymore, you're surviving through it. At this point, you're not a stoner, not even a daily stoner. You've devolved into the Benjamin zombie, permanently hazed, always chasing the next puff, yet never really getting anywhere. But hey, you can always just cool it off the Za and get back to where it was fun again, like being a casual. Moderation is key, remember that. Until next time, peace.
My job as a leader is
Zaza knowledge, Mary Jane truths, high IQ data that you've never heard before. But not to worry, because today we are uncovering facts about the magic green plant that everybody, for the sake of safety, education, and science, should know. Because I am always here to inform the public about the risks, the good, the bad, and everything in between about the grass. And with that, you have a better understanding of what the green plant really is and how it can affect you both positively and negatively. So if you are ready to sit back and learn about some wild facts in an educational way, like how the US government has a secret Zaza farm, or maybe, in case you ever find yourself chilling playing video games and one of your friends pulls up like, "Yo bro, I just got these mangoes. They taste really good. Wanna have some?" I don't know. Ate them banana. Okay, I get it. You're refusing the last grown mangoes of my dead grandma. Her last wish was that we may enjoy them together. Oh, I'll eat the damn mangoes if it'll show you up, man.
20 minutes later.
Damn, those mangoes really were good. Yup, and now for dessert. Your turn. Well, I do have work in 2 hours, but okay. What's a couple puffs from a J really gonna do? Oh my, why am I so faded? It's the mangoes, bro. They contain the same terpene myrcene that's in the J. That's why the Za hit you so fast and hard. This was always my plan. So, what we playing? I'm guessing you're calling in sick from work. From long-standing prophecies like eat a mango 30 minutes before lighting up to increase your fade, to the US government's secret farm, we have a lot of Zaza facts lined up that'll change your life. Okay, well, maybe not that, but anyway, first up, grass bends your perception of time. Lettuce has this unique ability to bend time. Not like interstellar or wormhole physics, more like your brain suddenly hired the most unreliable intern to keep track of the clock. Here's what's actually happening. THC binds to CB1 receptors in your brain, especially in areas like the cerebellum, basal ganglia, and prefrontal cortex. These regions don't just help with movement and decision making, they also play a key role in how we measure time internally. Normally, your brain has a nice steady rhythm for counting seconds and minutes, but when THC hijacks those receptors, that rhythm slows down. The result? Your perception of time stretches out. 10 minutes can feel like half an hour, a short song feels like a symphony, and waiting for the pizza delivery guy feels like you're aging in real time. You might check your phone, think hours have passed, only to find out it's been 4 minutes, and you've already rewatched the same TikTok 3 times. It's not that the outside world is moving slower, everyone else is still living in regular time. It's just that your brain stopwatch is now on stoner time, which is about as reliable as a 5 a.m. alarm when you could technically sleep till 7, which we all love sleeping in until you finally wake up, check the clock, and realize half your day is already gone. Now you're rushing, stressing, Listen, and worst of all, you don't even have time to re-up at your favorite shop. That's exactly where today's sponsor, Everything 420, comes in. No more last-minute drives across town or dealing with shops closing early. E420 is one of the biggest online Zaza shops out there, delivering everything you need fast, affordable, and completely discreet. Whether you're looking for the everyday essentials to keep your sessions going, or you just want to stock up ahead of time, they've got you covered. But what makes them really stand out are their mystery boxes. These boxes are loaded with gear and goodies you'd probably pick up anyway, but with the added fun of surprise. It's like giving yourself a mini little Christmas every time one shows up at your door. So if you're ready for a one-stop shop for all your grassy needs, all you have to do is be at least 21, check the pinned comment for the link, or download the E420 app and enjoy an even smoother browsing experience right on your phone. Now, I'm personally convinced Zaza bends time both ways. Like, if you're just sitting there waiting for the pizza guy, time basically grinds to a halt. You ordered a cheesy crust double pepperoni masterpiece, haven't eaten in 6 hours. You timed the order perfectly so it would land just as you finished your J and tidied up. The plan was airtight. But now you're starving, high, fixated on that pizza like it's the holy grail. Then you check your phone and it says, estimated delivery 30 minutes? Bruh, it's already been 30 minutes. Man, I think I gotta call some... Oh, BS. On the flip side, light up during the day, boot up your favorite game, and suddenly time doesn't slow down at all. It disappears. You're laser focused on farming holy relics, stacking your DPS, grinding HP containers, and just as you finally drop the skeleton keeper for the last item,
Welcome to Ashley's Black Friday mattress event. Get a free adjustable base with select mattress purchases designed to elevate your comfort and sleep experience. Plus, you can snooze now and pay later.
oh shit, I forgot I have a job. And that's the beauty of the Zaza. It can make time vanish when you need an escape from the grind or stretch it out so you can savor a moment. The trick is balance, because when you overdo it, that escape stops being a luxury and starts feeling like a requirement just to get through the day. But hey, I've ranted about that at least 37 times on this channel already, so let's instead move on to something you might have already known, just maybe not to the full extent, and that is, animals can get high too. People forget it's not just humans who can get high, animals can too. In fact, plenty of them actively seek it out. For example, cats with catnip. That's basically their version of top shelf Zaza. They roll in it, rub their faces in it, then proceed to sprint around the house like they just railed an energy drink. Dolphins have been passing around pufferfish to get a mild buzz off their toxins. That's literally aquatic hotboxing. And reindeer, they'll dig through snow to eat psychedelic mushrooms, then stumble around like it's day one of Burning Man. But here's the kicker. Animals don't have the same relationship with THC that humans do. Our endocannabinoid system can process it in ways theirs can't. Dogs and cats, for example, are way more sensitive, so that funny idea of blowing smoke in your pug's face, not only is it cruel, it can actually be toxic. Your dog doesn't need to experience Snoop Dogg mode. Just saying. So yeah, animals can get high, sometimes even on purpose. The difference is, nature gave them their own party flavors. Humans just invited cannabis to the guest lists, which perfectly brings us to, unlike a lot of animals, humans are wired for weed. Now, here's the real twist. Animals can get high, but humans are actually wired for it, like built-in compatibility modes. See, cats have catnip, dolphins have their pufferfish, reindeer have their mushrooms, but humans? We've got something called the endocannabinoid system. It's a network of receptors scattered all over the brain and body. CB1, CB2 that regulate mood, appetite, memory, pain, sleep. Basically, all the things it's famous for messing with. And the wild part is, our bodies already make their own weed-like chemicals called endocannabinoids. Stuff like anandamida, nicknamed the bliss molecule, is what gives you that runner's high or that weird wave of calm after eating chocolate. Cannabis just happens to produce compounds that fit those receptors like a skeleton key, especially THC, which plugs in and starts messing with the system. So while your dog might get wrecked from a tiny crumb of an edible, your body is running weed software straight out of the box. It's not that evolution designed us to spark a joint at 420, but it definitely gave us the hardware to handle it. Think of it like nature pre-installing YouTube on your phone. Cannabis just supplies that premium subscription. But, well, if you do get too high, it's good to know that CBD can actually counteract the too intense high. Yeah, the same plant that turned you into a human beanbag chair also comes with its own built-in antidote. CBD works kind of like the responsible older brother of THC. They both knock on the same brain receptors, but when CBD shows up, it basically says, "Oi, Stop all this horsing around, you bloody wankers. Which, I don't know if CBD has a British accent, but you get the idea. So, if you're spiraling, heart racing, thoughts racing, convinced your Uber driver is secretly an undercover cop, a little CBD can take the edge off. And if you don't have CBD handy, there's the old school stoner life hack, black peppercorns. They're loaded with terpenes like beta-caryophyllene that can mellow out a THC overload. Just don't get too weird about it. Chewing pepper like you're auditioning for the Food Network isn't exactly a good look. Moral of the story, if cranks the volume too high, CBD is basically the remote control. You might not get back to completely sober, but at least you'll stop refreshing Google for, can you die from eating too many edibles? And now for the really crazy one, and that is the fact that the US government actually has
Hey,
its own
Robert, how's it
secret
going, man?
farm. Yeah, the same people who tell you is illegal at the federal level, they've been
Just
quietly growing
doing
it for
a watch
decades.
party,
It's tucked
man.
away at the
This guy's
University of
Zaza
Mississippi,
videos.
and it all started back in the 1960s when the feds decided they needed a steady supply of cannabis for official research. So while they were running Just Say No campaigns and blastering anti ads on TV, Uncle Sam was running his own, grew up in the background. Legal for them, illegal for you. Classic. Now, don't get it twisted. This isn't some premium frosty dispensary flower. By most reports, the government stash is tragic. We're talking dry, crumbly, brown flakes that look like oregano someone vacuum sealed in the Nixon era. Basically, if dispensary is five-star dining, government is the gas station hot dog of cannabis. Technically still weed, but you regret touching it immediately. And here's where it gets even crazier. Starting in 1978, the government actually mailed joints to patients through something called the Compassionate Investigational New Drug Program. A few dozen people with conditions like glaucoma and multiple sclerosis were legally prescribed cannabis rolled up by the government and shipped in little tins. Each tin held about 300 pre-rolls, and patients got a fresh supply every month. Imagine opening your mailbox and finding a federally issued can of mid stamped property of the US government. But the program shut down the new applicants in 1992 after the AIDS crisis led to a flood of requests. Today, only a handful of the original patients are still alive and technically still receiving tins from Mississippi. For everyone else, that subscription service is long gone. Still, it's kind of wild to think while regular people were being locked up for carrying a single joint, the feds were quietly tending their own plants in Mississippi and mailing out weed like Publishers Clearinghouse. Hypocrisy, science experiment, maybe both. Either way, next time someone says, the government is hiding something, you can nod and say, yeah, man, it's weed.
Just as he was taking his final breaths, he cleansed his sword with his own blood and stone. The next breath was built up as human.
Think of it like this. Choosing based on percentage is Zaza myths. Grass cap, lettuce slice, call it what you want. Anyway, today we're going to go over the most common misconceptions about the magic green plant, which I'm willing to bet that you've fallen for at least once. Yes, you, Mr. Bro, this pack tested at 38%, so I'm basically entering another dimension. Okay, if you say so. So, how is it? Well, I guess. Mouth is really dry, though. It kind of tastes like dirt. Certified exotic! So, for the sake of education and science, we are going to go over every Zaza myth from funny to dumb to dangerous, so the populace may have a better understanding of the magic green plant and avoid the risks they were subject to before. Whether you're a seasoned lettuce enjoyer or a rookie roller, these myths have been floating around since the dawn of the J, and even though people are a lot more informed these days, you'd be surprised at how many people still believe that higher THC percentage equals stronger high. This is probably the most common rookie mistake in the lettuce community. People walk into dispensaries like they're buying a protein shake. And what's the strongest thing you got? 35%? Give me that! Sure, percentage does play a role in how high you get. It's kind of the main character. But the number on the jar doesn't tell the whole story. You could blaze something labeled 33% and feel absolutely nothing but dry mouth and disappointment. Meanwhile, something with 17% might have you reconsidering your life choices mid-snack. Why? Because there's more to the plant than just a number. How it was grown, how fresh it is, what it smells like, all that matters. Some packs hit because they're balanced, not because they're built like a calculator. Also, quick reality check, those percentages not always real. Growers know people chase high numbers, so they send the frostiest, most photogenic nug to the lab. They don't send the potentially dry, crusty stuff you actually get in the jar. So what you're really buying is lab-tested optimism. Think of it like this. Choosing based on percentage is like choosing music based on how loud it is. Just because it's loud doesn't mean it's good. Then again, if you have a favorite song and you play it louder, it's gonna hit better. If you get what I'm saying. Usually, you want something that doesn't just blast you. You want something that actually feels right. So yeah, the number matters a little to the extent that a 6% pack is going to be mellow and anything between 15 to 25% is going to hit normal. But beyond that, it's just marketing. So don't let it trick you into thinking you're buying magic. Otherwise, you'll keep paying $60 for mid in a shiny bag. Which next one is something I believed in myself up until just a few months ago. Indica equals chill, equals energy. Push you in the couch, bro. Get you creative and energized. Yeah, not exactly, at least anymore. That whole equals sleepy equals Zoom thing is Zaza astrology. It sounds deep until you realize it's mostly vibes and guesswork. Back in the day, Indica and sativa meant something botanically, like plant shape and how tall it grows. But now, after decades of crossbreeding, everything is basically a smoothie. You're not smoking a pure sativa. You're smoking some hybrid mutant with 6 parents and a confusing childhood. You might get an that it makes you vacuum your room at 3 a.m. or but it has you melted into the couch watching YouTube documentaries about ants. It's not about the label, it's about how your brain reacts to whatever is actually in the flower. Which is exactly where today's sponsor, 5C 10 milligram high potency gummies come in. The best part about 5's gummies are the huge variety of options you can choose from. Surge is similar to boosting your mood and vibe whilst keeping you energized. Vibes is a nice middle ground, allowing you to still stay productive whilst also chilling you out. And finally, my favorite, chill, which are best enjoyed when you're done with your day and just want to relax and unwind. And if you're like me and think that chill is what best suits your needs, then you're in luck because 5 just released a new delicious flavor for that exact variant. Watermelon! And to make sure everyone gets an opportunity to try their newest flavor out, right now for a limited time, new customers are eligible to get a pack of watermelon gummies for free. And returning customers are not left out either because by using my code CBD50, you can get 50% off whether you're new or returning. To be eligible, all you have to do is be at least 21, go to the pinned comments, and check it out. Also, most of these strain labels are just marketing now. The same lemon blaster you buy in LA might be a completely different plant than the lemon blaster from your guy in Detroit, but they both swear it's sativa because the bag is yellow and has lightning bolts on it. To be fair though, you do have a higher probability of getting a chiller vibe with indica and more of an active vibe with sativa, just that it's not always the case, and a lot of times an indica strain can make you just as productive as with sativa. A lot of it is also just in your head, like if you're a daily smoker and smoke sativa during the day and indica at night, you're gonna feel like you're more productive with sativa because every time you use it, you actually plan on doing stuff. Compared to indica where you plan on, well, just hanging around. But this next one might be the most dangerous misconception out of them all, and that is, you can't overdose on grass. Ah yes, the ultimate stoner defense mechanism. You can't overdose on Zaza, bro. It's impossible. It's natural. Chill out. Technically, yeah, you're not gonna flatline from lettuce. There's no grass version of the he took too many and never woke up story. But let's not pretend you can't go way past the point of good vibes into I'm dying, call my mom territory. You can green out, you can white out, you can throw up, panic, forget your name, think you're in a dream and try to call 911 on yourself using a TV remote. But sure, not an overdose, just a deeply humbling spiritual reset. It usually goes like this. You take an edible and it's not hitting, so you take more. Then about 45 minutes later, your soul leaves your body and watches you pet your wall for emotional support. Congratulations, you're not dead, but you are definitely not okay. So no, you won't overdose in the technical sense, but if your definition of overdose includes uncontrollable sweating, time dilation, thinking you're stuck in a loop and trying to breathe manually, then yes, you very much can overdose on Zaza, especially with long-term heavy use, which can cause psychosis. So just because it's a plant and there's that famous fact of like, oh, you need to smoke 200 pounds of Zaza to overdose, doesn't mean you shouldn't be mindful of your consumption, which kind of takes us to grass makes you lazy. My teacher once told me, Boy, you smoke too much of that lettuce, you'll never do anything with your life. Meanwhile, there are programmers, artists, chefs, and athletes out here doing their taxes while baked off their mind on something called
Purple monkey dirt nugs.
Let's be clear, Za doesn't make you lazy, you make you lazy. Grass just lowers the volume on your internal monologue enough for you to enjoy doing nothing. If you were already a couch potato before, sure, lettuce might just butter you up and serve you to the couch gods. But some people take a hit and immediately get the sudden urge to deep clean their bathroom or organize their sock drawer by emotional trauma. The truth is, how you react depends on your brain, your tolerance, and whether you just hit something calming or smoked a strain called Nightmare Jetpack. Also, not all laziness is bad. Sometimes the reason people seem lazy after smoking is because their brain finally isn't on fire and they're just chilling for the first time in days. That's not laziness. That's peace, baby. So no, Za doesn't make you lazy. Being a human in late-stage capitalism does. Grass might just make it more comfortable to stop pretending you're okay with it. It's just a plant, so it's always safe. This one's popular with people who think putting a leaf emoji next to anything instantly makes it healthy. Bro, it's natural. It's from the earth. You can't get hurt by something nature made. Okay, cool. So are poison ivy, nightshade, and grizzly bears. Nature doesn't care about your vibes. Nature is not your plug. Yes, lettuce is a plant. So is hemlock. So is ayahuasca. That doesn't mean you should roll it up and smoke it every morning like it's a spiritual multivitamin. Natural doesn't mean harmless. It just means it didn't come from a lab this time. Now, for most people, grass is relatively safe, but let's not pretend it's some invincible superfood. You can still develop tolerance, mess up your sleep, get dependent on it to function, have a panic attack mid-cartoon, or blast off into a full psychotic break if you overdo it for too long. And let's be honest, most people aren't smoking pure organic, forest-grown artisanal flower. They're ripping mystery carts from some guy called Seke with a shoebox business model. Even flour itself isn't always clean. It can have mold, pesticides, or be so dry it turns to dust if you breathe on it wrong. So yeah, it's a plant, but that doesn't make it invincible, perfect, or immune to consequences. You could take a salad and turn it into a problem if you tried hard enough. Bottom line, lettuce can be chill, but like anything else, too much of it too often with no self-awareness equals problems. And saying it's natural won't help you when you're halfway through a green out wondering if your dog is judging you.
Do you find it hard to get
10,000 BC, a group of cavemen in the Oki Islands of Japan needed some warmth and wanted to start a fire when they discovered a funny-looking green plant, and either out of curiosity or desperation, took it and inadvertently created history's first ever hotbox. Yet this early grass was not that loud that people be smoking today, because as we know, over the years the Za has been scientifically and artificially cultivated to be much more concentrated in the high it gives. So, although it is funny to think about a group of cavemen purposely starting a fire in a small shelter for the sole purpose of getting baited in a hoe, it is unlikely that it actually ever happened. Yet, aside from this iffy recreational stint in Japan, hemp was first commonly used in the lands that are modern-day Mongolia and China for more practical uses like eating it. Which, after saying that, you might be imagining something like this. Yo, what's up? How you doing? Had any fun with those new seeds I gave you? Yo, nah, I actually came here to give them back. Last night I was looking at the moon and I swear that motherfucker was looking right back at me. But alas, this probably wasn't the reality because the THC levels in this early cultivated Zaza were just really low. But soon the Chinese would discover that the holy plant's fibers were also great for making stuff too, like clothes, paper, and bowstrings. Which turns out hemp fibers were superior to the bamboo ones used by rivaling factions, allowing the Chinese to shoot their arrows much further. So basically, back in the day, if you were having a long distance bow battle and were losing, you might have screamed out, "We need to get closer! These motherfuckers have weed!" Anyway, it wasn't long after mofos realized that the loud wasn't only good for making stuff, it was also great for treating physical maladies. And after a couple thousand years, Emperor Shen Nung, known as the father of Chinese medicine, included the magic plant in his medical encyclopedia under the name Ma. Which, that sounds oddly similar to Za, doesn't it? I'm guessing every couple thousand years the first letter changes or something. But now, let's explore the question we're all asking. When exactly did mofos start ripping that shit to get faded. Well, one of the earliest counts is about 2,500 years ago, when researchers discovered 10 mini barbecues in a cemetery near modern-day Tajikistan that had residue of burnt cannabis with a much higher concentration of THC than normal, probably meaning it was selectively bred to get you, well, lit. Although this was one of the first counts of people purposely inhaling the broccoli to get high, it was most likely used as part of a ritual to invoke an altered state of mind, so you could communicate with spirits. Which shit, dog, I wanna know what these dudes were smoking, cause I ain't never heard of no grass that gets you to the spirit realm. This might have low-key been the last kush Snoop Dogg smoked, cause once you get so high you start communicating with your dead grand-grand, that's when you really might be like, okay, I think it's about time I stop smoking this shit. But although smoking from a mini barbecue sounds cool, what's even cooler is doing it from the CBD bro glow in the dark BONG. And right now, for every BONG purchase, you get a free grinder of your choosing. So if you've been waiting for the perfect opportunity to get yourself some CBD bro gear, then right now is that time exactly. Just click the link in the pinned comment or description and get yourself the ultimate late Black Friday deal. But now on to the video. Since cannabis for one reason or another proved to be quite the useful plant, people started trading it around the world as soon as it was domesticated. Which the only people who didn't really fuck with the Zaza were Europeans who preferred getting hammered instead, which is low-key reflected in modern times too, especially in the northern countries where once you turn 18 you can drink as much poison as you want, but if you want to blaze, well, you might be looking at a little bit of jail time, my boy. But now let's quickly go over the uses of cannabis throughout different cultures so we can move on to the modern age, starting with Hindus. They made something called Bang, an edible cannabis paste that had medicinal properties, but also got you high. This could be added to a variety of foods and drinks, which this Bang was the preferred food of the Hindu god Shiva, making him, in my eyes, the god of edibles. Disclaimer, that was a joke. Islam. Here the Za was called hashish, and was introduced about 1,000 years ago, which hashish wasn't strictly forbidden in the Quran at first, so a lot of Muslims ate it for its medicinal and relaxation properties. But later, Egypt basically banned it, and also the Quran was revisited by many and reinterpreted to include hashish to be banned just like alcohol. The Vikings. These dudes basically used the Za to make rope, sailcloth, and other things, but also for its medicinal properties, mostly to relieve pain. And to date, there's no hard evidence that they consumed it for its recreational use, but, you know, maybe they should have, because they were quite the horrendous savages and murderers, so it might have made them think a little bit about peace and love. But what about America, England, and the actual global world powers? How did they react to weed? Well, again, like the Chinese, Europeans and Americans at first prominently used the magic green plant in the 16th to 18th century for more practical things like making sailcloth and rope, which the plant itself grew much larger in the New World soil, and combined with the practicality of it, everything started being hemp-derived. Clothes, paper, well, basically anything that required fibers. But the question still remains, when did mofos start smoking that shit to get blasted on the regular? Cause although at some point you, your neighbor, your grandma, your boss, and even George Washington were out here growing weed, wasn't nobody out here rolling them up. Well, until the arrival of Mexicans. The loud version of hemp first arrived in Brazil in the early 1500s by way of enslaved Africans traveling with the Portuguese. And the native South Americans, who were already consuming some other psychoactive substances, quickly started blazing the Zaza too, and its use soon spread across South America and into Mexico, from which in the 1910s is when the loud first spread into the US, via Mexican immigrants escaping the effects of the Mexican Revolution. And almost immediately the good was viewed as a threat, and by 1931, 29 states had banned its use. Although it wasn't really the Zaza that the US didn't fall with, it was unfortunately mostly just racism against Mexican Americans and black citizens of the South, which both these groups were enjoyers of the Za to some regard, so it became a scapegoat for racial bias in the US, and they blamed it for everything from petty crimes all the way to murder. And in 1937, the US completely banned all non-medical use of weed, which all of this kind of explains why the mostly peaceful plant has been thrown in the same Schedule 1 category with full-on life-destroying substances like heroin and cocaine. But thankfully, a couple decades later came the hippie movement of the 1960s to 1970s. This is what likely sparked the comeback for weed, cause unlike before, when the Zaza was mostly smoked by Mexican immigrants and black citizens who the US was massively racist against, the hippie movement had middle-class white American youths start blazing too. which it was all about love, peace, spirituality, non-violence, and of course, every hippie's favorite, recreational drug use. Although most hippies were all about peace and love, that was quite easy to say when most of them were literally privileged enough to drop out of college, run off with Cassandra in a rainbow van, go on copious amounts of mindset-altering trips, mostly powered by LSD, and then return 10 years later to their parents and have them say, "It's okay, son." Then return 10 years later to their parents and have them say, "It's okay, son. I was young and stupid once too." Anyway, although the grass was still federally illegal, this didn't really do much because in 1976, 1 in 8 Americans over the age of 12 admitted to smoking it in the past 30 days. Hippies, though, were especially interested in cannabis, so much so they went on something called the Hippie Trail, which was basically an excursion by the youths of the world to go over to the Middle East and India, all while riding in magic buses and discovering new ways to get absolutely blasted, such as smoking the concentrated Zaza resin known as hash. But acquiring the Zaza would soon get much harder, because you see, most of it came from Mexico, so in 1969 the US started patrolling the border, and in 1975 they got even more aggressive and started spraying herbicide on Mexican wheat plants. And so good old supply and demand made grass prices skyrocket, which a lot of people started then growing the plant themselves in mini greenhouses, closets, bathtubs, storage units, basements, wherever they could. But then in 1982, Mr. Smarty Pants Ronald Reagan took it even a step further by encouraging the streamlined arrest of anyone in possession of an illegal substance, which was really dumb because most of the focus was on pot. All while crack, meth, and heroin were all still being transported and consumed. First, this enforcement seemed to be racially motivated because despite plenty of traffickers and consumers being white, the majority of arrests were Latino and black youths, all while this bizarre over-focus on cannabis allowed the growing opioid epidemic to go unchecked. But thankfully, the US is slowly learning from their mistakes, where today, 24 states have legalized the recreational use of marijuana. On top of that, the increased level of research on it has also found multiple medical use cases and can be prescribed to you by special doctors if seen fit. And although the Zaza is still federally illegal and a Schedule 1 drug, the overall perception of it has changed for the better, including in December 2022 when President Biden signed a bill to make it easier for researchers to obtain plants for their studies, which will hopefully accelerate the learning of positive and negative side effects of consuming the Za even further. But all that aside, the overall vibe towards the loud has gotten a lot more accepting, and these days more and more people view the smoking of the grass not as you being a junkie, but the same way as having a couple beers with the homies on a Friday night and watching some WWE. But what's your opinion on the devil's lettuce? Should it be legal everywhere, or are you still iffy on it? Comment down.
Four a.m.'s not that early, you told yourself. Then you found a cheap afternoon flight on.
The evolution, or perhaps the de-evolution of grass. From nature's favorite plant to humanity's frontal cortex scrambler, today we're diving deep into how the Za went from balanced foliage to bioengineered potent lettuce, all in the name of science and education. And by the end of this, you'll finally understand why every old head looks at modern Za and says, "That ain't the Lord's loud, boy. That's the devil's lettuce." What do I mean by that? Well, let me set the scene. The year is 1967. It's the summer of love in San Francisco, California. Thousands of young people are pulling up to the city in hopes of finding inner peace, new music, and an altered state of mind. A group of wide-eyed college kids link up with a guy who, according to legend, is slinging some exotic spiritual third-eye opening Zaza, the true symbol of peace. Enter Charles Zachary III, local Zaza pug. He reaches into his bag and dramatically reveals some oregano-looking greenery. The students lean in, sniff it, and say, "Oh yes, that's some fine lettuce you got there, sir." They cough up $3, which was actual money back then, and head off to their hippie van to fuel up for their night's hippie drum circle. First J ever, the whole bag gone in one sitting, and guess what? Nobody greened out, nobody had an existential meltdown. Why? Because that so-called exotic was rocking about 1% THC, maybe 2% CBD. Honestly, it was more common than mind-blowing, the original balanced strain. Fast forward to 2025, same scenario, free newbies hop in a Tesla Model Y with a bag of modern exotic, infused 48% T, 0.0001% CBD. You're not getting peace, love, and harmony out of that van, bro. You're getting silence, paranoia, and free people glued to that big, fat, beautiful screen. Now, don't get me wrong, no disrespect to modern Za. I love me some stare at the microwave while your hot pocket spins and you question your existence highs, but the problem is that's basically all we've got left. See, thanks to capitalism and the wonderful cycle of supply and demand, the market did what the market does best: chase the strongest product possible. People wanted that high T grass, so for the past half century, growers have been selectively breeding for maximum THC. Every new generation of bud got stronger, flashier, louder, and somewhere along the line, CBD, the chill little molecule that used to balance it all out, got completely left behind. The unsung hero of the Za basically got bred out of existence to the point of you potentially having to go on a nationwide quest just to find a balanced strain. So, how did we get here? Well, it all started at 1960s, the flower power era. Average potency 1 to 2% T, 1 to 2% C. The 1960s were when cannabis first hit mainstream culture, not as a drug, but as a statement. It was rebellion rolled up in paper. The summer of love turned San Francisco into the epicenter of peace signs, guitar solos, and people who thought wearing shoes was a capitalist construct. Grass back then was imported brick buds, mostly from Mexico, Colombia, or Thailand, stuffed with stem seeds and enlightenment. The average potency around 1% T, sometimes stretching to 2 if the stars aligned and your plug had international connections. But it wasn't all that weak. It was balanced. There was nearly as much CBD as THC, which kept the high mellow and manageable. You could smoke a whole J talking about ending the Vietnam War and still remember where you parked your van. It wasn't about getting
Obliterated.
It was about expanding consciousness, or at least trying to figure out why your friend had been staring at a lava lamp for 45 minutes. This was the hippies, nature's peace pipe, or by today's standards, basically oregano. But back then, anything you got was the bomb, which these days, people don't just call anything the bomb. You'd have to make something next level, like a nationwide legal gummy that hits twice as fast. Oh yeah, that's exactly where today's sponsor, 5CBD Quick Hits 15 milligram gummies, come in. 5 is pushing the limits with innovative nationwide legal Zaza, and their Quick Hits are the latest breakthrough. Unlike regular gummies that can take up to 45 minutes to hit, Quick Hits are formulated for maximum potency and minimum wait time. You'll start to feel it in just 10 to 15 minutes, which also helps to avoid that classic, "These Eddies ain't shit."
My job as a leader is to get the job done safely, efficiently, and with quality. And that's why.
And the best part, if you've never tried them, 5 is giving every new customer the chance to try Quick Hits for free. Already a customer? Returning customers get 50% off. All you have to do is be 21, head to the pinned comment, and check it out. 1970s, hippie hangover. Average potency 2 to 4% T, about 1% C. The flower power dream didn't die overnight. It just got groovier. The 1970s carried the cultural hangover of the 60s, where everyone still preached peace and love, but now they did it while debating which Pink Floyd album sounded better high. Grass quality improved slightly. People started cultivating locally and importing better strains like Panama Red or Acapulco Gold. Names that sounded luxurious, even though the average potency was still around 2 to 3% THC with a little CBD still floating around. Za was social. You pass a J around, everybody got a turn, and nobody coughed like they were dying. You didn't have to warn your friend, "Take a small hit, bro, this shit's crazy." The worst thing that could happen was zoning out during a record flip or getting too deep in a conversation about the moon landing being fake. In short, grass was still a group experience. The goal wasn't to escape reality, just to make it funnier. Until the 1980s. War on drugs and rise of hydroponic cultivation. Average potency, 3 to 4% T, around 0.5% C. The 1980s. Reagan, neon hair, metal music, music and the war on drugs, the US government declared an all-out war on cannabis, complete with Just Say No commercials that made it sound like a gateway to eternal damnation. Ironically, this crackdown made grass stronger, smugglers got smarter, growers went underground, literally, and indoor cultivation started taking off. Hydroponics, high-pressure sodium lights, and nutrient formulas became the new weapon of peace. Average potency crept up to 3 to 4% T, but CBD started vanishing. The goal shifted. No one cared about balance anymore. They wanted potency that could justify the risk of going to jail. Za in the 80s was a statement and a felony. If you were smoking, you were either a rebel or a roadie. The high was still manageable, but definitely sharper. The kind of Za that made you think your answering machine was talking to you. This was the decade where cannabis evolved from hippie habit to countercultural sports, and it took off even more in the 1990s, the chronic era. Average potency 5 to 8% T, usually under 0.3% C. By the 90s, the underground growers had perfected their craft. Hydro was booming, genetics from Amsterdam were spreading, and suddenly the world was introduced to names like Northern Lights, Skunk One, and White Widow. Average T levels climbed to around 5 to 8%, which doesn't sound like much now, but back then it hit different. Mostly because CBD had dropped below 0.3%. That balance the 60s had gone. Now it was smoke first, ask questions later. And culturally, this was the chronic era. Dr. Dre turned Za into a brand, Snoop turned it into a lifestyle. Smoking wasn't taboo anymore. It was cool. Blunts replaced J's, and people started measuring time in hot boxes. You could still function, but now you felt it. This was the first time people really started greening out. The first time you got that, oh no, I might be too high, man. But it was still mostly chill. You just laugh too hard, eat an entire box of cereal, and call it night. The 90s were the bridge, the sweet spot before cannabis went full Super Saiyan. The 2000s. Kush takeover. Average potency 8 to 12% T, usually under 0.2% C. Welcome to the 2000s, the birth of the modern weed economy. OG Kush, AK-47, Blue Dream Sour Diesel strains that became household names. Everybody knew a guy who grew his own, and dispensaries were starting to pop up in California. Average T levels hovered between 8 to 12%, and CBD practically extinct. By now, cannabis wasn't just a plant, it was a product. Growers started competing for higher THC numbers because that's what sold. Grass reviews became like wine tastings, notes of citrus, diesel, and mild ego death. This was the decade when people realized weed wasn't the same anymore. The highs were more intense, the paranoia started showing up, and tolerance became a full-time job. You didn't need to smoke a J, one strong hit could send you on a vision quest. It was the golden age of Kush culture. Everyone was high, but somehow also stressed about it. Which that stress kind of started fading in the 2010s, the legalization boom. Average potency 15 to 20% T, usually under 0.1 C. Then came the 2010s, the green rush. Legalization swept across states, dispensaries exploded, and suddenly weed had branding, merch, and loyalty programs. Average T levels jumped again. 15 to 20% was now considered standard. The CBD in most recreational strains basically non-existent. Growers had bred plants for pure potency, creating buzz that could probably power a small drone. This was when grass science went corporate. You had flower, concentrates, dabs, wax, shatter, live resin, weed so strong it came with its own vocabulary. The line between I'm chillin' and I can feel colors got thinner every year. It was the era of customization, but ironically, almost no one was choosing balance. Everyone wanted the highest T possible, not realizing we basically erased the chill molecule CBD that kept the experience grounded. Which brings us to the 2020s, the Zaza age. Average potency 25 to 35% T, maybe one lonely CBD molecule floating around. And now we've arrived, the Zaza age, the final form of cannabis, the endgame boss of botany. Weed isn't just strong anymore, it's engineered. Every nug looks like it's grown in a NASA clean room under 24-hour supervision by a dude who calls himself a terpene artist. Dispensary menus, bro, they sound like a fully optioned out car. 28% T, live resin infused keef, dust and solventless Syrahs and finish 3.5 G of pure enlightenment. Your average flower today clocks in between 25 to 35% T, and that's just your everyday gas station level loud. The real heavy hitters infuse pre-rolls, moon rocks concentrates casually push 45 to 80% T-BRAF. CBD practically gone. A rounding error in the lab results. The compound that once mellowed the ride got quietly bred out of existence. The MySpace of cannabinoids, forgotten but foundational. And the experience? It's intense. We used to be exclusively about connection, creativity, and relaxation. Now it's about surviving the eddy you thought didn't hit yet. You don't pass around purple relief anymore. You pass around that loud. But here's the thing. We might not even fully understand how strong Zaza has become because everyone's tolerance has skyrocketed. The average daily smoker today could outsmoke an entire 1980s drum circle and still finish a burrito after. Back then, 1J was an event. Now it's a warm-up. So when a casual or first-time user grabs a modern exotic, they're not easing into a mellow buzz, they're entering the quantum realm. And sure, there are still balanced options, CBD forward strains, 1-to-1 hybrids, low T flower, but they're the minority. Most dispensary shelves are designed for one thing only, maximum impact. The louder the better. The industry keeps feeding the same loop. Higher T, lower CBD, stronger hits because that's what sells. Of course, people did get anxious and paranoid from weed back in the day too. That's not new, but the risk was lower. Today with THC concentrations several times higher and CBD nearly absent, the chance of panic attacks, anxiety, or even short-term psychosis is significantly increased, especially for first-timers or people who don't smoke often. It's like the difference between sipping a beer and chugging a bottle of vodka. Technically the same category, but a very different evening. Modern Zaza doesn't just take you on a trip, it catapults you into orbit and then hands you a mirror halfway up. It's impressive, it's profitable, and it's a little terrifying. The same plant that once fueled Woodstock now also fuels anxiety, Uber Eats orders, and psychological crisis over microwave timers. But hey, who am I to say if we've de-evolved or evolved? Make sure you comment down your opinion below, and until next time, peace!
At Ashley's Black Friday event, you can save up to $1,000 store-wide on your entire purchase. Or buy now and pay later with 0% interest.
Dabs, the world's strongest saw, or so I have been told. In reality, dabs can't really be considered the world's strongest saw because it's technically not weed anymore. It's the extract of it. And although there are natural and unnatural ways to extract that THC, the end result is always the same. Super potent, sticky, icky wax. You see, wax is like the express lane of cannabis. If the express lane was designed to launch you into a high so intense, you'll wonder if you just got teleported. It's a concentrated form of cannabis where all the THC and terpenes have been extracted from the plant into a sticky wax-like substance. Think of it as the espresso shot of weed. It's quick, potent, and designed to get you where you're going fast. Wax generally contains anywhere from 60 to 90% THC. That's right, you're basically inhaling a THC rocket launcher. A little dab, literally a small dot of wax, is enough to send you to the moon and back in no time, which, let's be honest, might be exactly what you're looking for, but anyway. The extraction process typically involves solvents like butane or CO2, which separate the THC from the plant material. The result is a gooey concentrate that can resemble something between honey and a gummy bear's worst nightmare. And if you think it looks a little sus, that's because it probably should. Just make sure you know what you're doing with the dab rig, or you might end up with an accidental science experiment that doesn't go quite as planned. Now, you might be wondering, CBD bro, what's the difference between like strong bud and dabs, eh? What's up with that? Glad you asked, my little munchkin. Bud typically contains around 15 to 25% THC, depending on the strain and how good your dealer is. This means it's still potent, but you won't be crossing into a parallel universe with a single puff. You get a slower, more gradual high that builds up over time, kind of like gently being rocked into a nice little nap. Unlike wax, which is concentrated and intense, bud is the slower burner of the weed world. Sure, you'll still get high, but it's more of a let's hang out and take our time with this situation. Like sipping on a glass of wine versus chugging a bottle of tequila. You'll get the same effect, but one will probably leave you with fewer regrets. To put it simply, wax is like the hardcore version of cannabis, while bud is like the I'm just here to enjoy myself version. Both will get you high, but one will probably make you rethink your life just a little bit. So what what made me want to try dabs in the first place? Well, you see, as the modern day Columbus, I like to view myself as a discoverer, and having tried every type of grass besides wax, it kind of bugged me that I didn't have any knowledge of the latter. And so, for science, my own personal curiosity, and educational purposes, I decided to test it out so I can stand here and tell you not to try it. Here is my experience with the dabs. Let me set the scene for you. I have been in Florida smoking up every day on that not CBD Zaza legal nationwide, baby. Don't get high off your own supply, they say. But since the supply was in a warehouse, I thought it didn't apply. Problem was, with 24/7 online access to premium bud, I got my tolerance up to levels I honestly didn't think was possible for me. But Florida is not the place this story takes place. It was just a prologue. After building up a Dracula castle-sized fort of tolerance in my body for 2 months, I flew my badonkadonk to Denver, Colorado, where Za is legal on the state level. And I don't know if I just got lucky 3 times in a row or Denver has more dispensaries than grocery stores, but for some reason every hotel I stayed at had a right outside the door like it was part of their compound or some shit. Anyway, once I arrived in my first hotel, I had no real plans of going to Dabbington City. In fact, I assumed because Colorado is like the capital of Za, I could achieve the fate I was chasing by just buying some premium bud. But alas, turns out the not CBD grass I had been puffing prior was on the same level as the stuff in the dispensaries, and due to the insane tolerance I had built up, it wasn't really getting me where I was trying to go. However, because I had bought a whole ounce thinking it would be more potent, I was kind of stuck smoking a shitload of it for a while, which, well, we all know smoking up frequently can stress and damage your lungs. Thankfully though, that's exactly where today's sponsor, 5 CBD high potency 10mg gummies come in. The best part about 5 CBD gummies, besides their amazing and consistent potency of course, is that they offer 3 separate unique types of them, each crafted to meet your needs in consideration of your situation. Surge is similar to sativa, boosting your mood and vibe whilst keeping you energized. Vibes is a nice middle ground, allowing you to still stay productive whilst also chilling you out. And finally, my favorite, chill. These are best enjoyed when you're done with your day and just want to relax and unwind. 5 CBD is also so confident you'll love their gummies, they're offering everyone watching this video a chance to get a free pack of them with no subscriptions attached. And I know many of you have already claimed that, so I talked to 5 and they are offering a 25% off with code BRO. All you have to do is be at least 21, go to the description or pin comment, pay for shipping, and get ready to enhance your vibe.
It's time, your time, not just to go back to school, but to come back and move forward with Purdue Global.
Vibe. It wasn't until I went to my next hotel when I finally ran out and was in the market for some exotic again. But this time I knew flour wasn't going to be enough. If I was going to end my multi-month US trip with a bang, I needed something that would face my insane tolerance and overcome it. Push me back into Yodi land one last time. So I went to this and explained my situation to the clerk. Hello, sir. What can I get for you today? Yeah, so I'm looking for something strong. Well, in that case, I guess I recommend edibles, maybe some moon rock or dabs. What do you like? I've never done dabs before, but I have heard that they're very potent, so I guess I'll go with them. Fabulous choice, sir. I have 3 types here. The cheap stuff, the good stuff, and the insane stuff. It was at this moment that I sealed my fate. My overconfidence consumed me, and I answered, "Give me that insane shit, bruh." 92% THC is the wax I received, and to all you Za experts who are already typing, "THC doesn't mean anything. Has this guy ever even smoked before? LOL. I live in my basement alone, and all I smoke is that exotic." Nah, for real, bro. Last video, some dude said what matters most is the plant's DNA and its heritage. Like your average smoker is gonna walk into the on some, excuse me, could you tell me about the DNA compensation of this Za? Yeah, I don't know, bro. It says OG. Of course I see that, but tell me about the history of this particular plant. Were its ancestors also original gangster? Look, man, I get $14 an hour here. I don't freaking know. I've smoked it before. It's pretty good. Anyway, now that I got my premium dabs, I needed a way to smoke it. But because I knew doing dabs is not as easy as just, say, ripping a BONG, I decided to do a bit of research before buying any equipment. So I went to the closest Starbucks, sat down, and...
This is what you're gonna need: a cap, a nail, Turk's mirror, which is optional, a rig, Q-tips, forge, a timer, dabs, the cell.
Well, that's ridiculous. I knew it wasn't simple, but What the fuck is the main thought that went through my brain. I had no idea you needed a whole damn chemistry kit to take a dab. But I had already committed. I mean, that premium wax wasn't cheap, and I was determined to finish what I had started. So I went to the closest smoke shop like, hello there, can I help you with anything? Yeah, so, I need a cap, a nail, a spinner, a rig, Q-tips, alcohol, a torch, a timer, and finally, a dactyl. Do you have all of that? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can find all that stuff around here somewhere, but you could just buy this electronic pen. Probably be a bit easier. Oh, well, sure, but does it include, a cap, a nail, a terp? No, but, like, you can do a dab. Fantastic. I'll take. As it turns out, all you really need to take a dab is a but I'm sure I'll be lectured in the comments about how that's not the same and how I've never even been high before. Anyway, I was now almost ready to enter into Dabbington City, but it was not gonna be easy, as I was staying at a no-smoke hotel. So I grabbed all my stuff, walked like 10 feet from the hotel, loaded my dab, and... Oh, it's not on. So I put it on the high setting, waited a couple seconds, and prepared to smack it again. I was done. Finished, bamboozled. No words can describe how absolutely grade A I was. I knew from the moment I exhaled that I needed to get to my room as fast as possible because this high instantly reminded me of when I first blinkered a Benjamin, only even more intense. I felt like my eyes had caved into my brain, making me more third person than first. Also, I could detect every organ in my body individually, and the sound of my heartbeats were constantly playing like some background music. I don't even know if I finished the whole dab, but I just knew I had to skedaddle before I... Wait, is it a bit cold? No. No. You see, I have this weird, awful debuff I only get sometimes when I'm like really hot. And this is the misperception of being extremely cold. It's like this weird trigger I have when I get too faded. And because I've experienced it so many times, it's like this unholy, intrusive thought that I just can't avoid. You can imagine my situation was not ideal. I was tweaking harder than I probably ever have before. And I just started slowly walking back to my hotel, trying to think of anything besides my bodily functions. I made it back inside, still shivering from my mental debuff, and walked to the elevator as fast as I could, where I had an awkward encounter with a fellow guest. Swerve in the corner. Is it really that cold outside? No, it's pretty warm actually. Oh. Okay. That dude must have thought he just talked to a local crackhead. But anyway, the instant I got back to my room, I snuggled into my bed to warm up and hopefully stop tweaking, which eventually I did, but I was still scared to leave the comfort of my warm sheets, so I just kind of watched fun YouTube videos until I came down a bit. After about 30 minutes, I stopped geeking and instantly ordered some food, but not just any food. I ordered a large Baconator combo from Wendy's like a true American. And I know I say this every high story, but this time I can't emphasize it enough. That shit was bullshit. Combine my already empty stomach with the wax high, then throw in bacon, cheese, and lettuce. Yeah, I added lettuce to my burger. Why? Because fitness isn't a choice, it's a lifestyle. So, sorry to disappoint you guys, but really that's about all that happened. The high was very similar to my first Benjamin. Tweak it first, vibe later. Will I be doing dabs again? Probably not, because they're pretty expensive and build up your tolerance super fast. Did I enjoy my time in Dabbington City? Well, besides the first 30 minutes where my brain got Doctor Stranged into Antarctica, it was fun. Although, it did make me very stupid. As I remember trying to connect my PS5 to my TV, and for like 15 minutes, I was trying to figure out why it wasn't showing up on my screen until I realized, oh, I'm missing the HDMI cable. Dumbass. Thanks for watching, and comment down if you'd like the next video to be a story like this, or explain list type video like the last one. Running out of Zaza. Man, I swear, this phenomenon is always so unexpected. Like, I don't know why, but for some reason, however long I plan ahead and try to time my grass running out, it always comes kicking in like the damn Kool-Aid man. I'll be out here the night before looking at the bottom of my grinder like, okay, I guess I gotta buy some more tomorrow. Since the dawn of humanity, us Homo sapiens and previously Neanderthals have always been different from the rest of the pack. Where zebras, deers, and other pussy-ass animals accepted the pre-installed food chain, we humans decided, man, screw this shit. These mammoths always walking around like they own the place. I'm tired of being a beta. Let's go get a bunch of spears and kill these fat motherfuckers for food. The only problem with having self-awareness and as of 2024 being the smartest creatures in the universe is that with a cruel twist of fate, being so intelligent has also made us the saddest and most mentally unstable creatures as well. Unfortunately, being so sharp, we have over the years, through the power of chemistry and science, invented or tried to invent happiness in capsules, syringes, powders, or anything else we could come up with. So today, we are going to go over humanity's worst creations in the field and dive deep into horrifying drugs you should never, ever try, starting with crocodile, aka desomorphine. Crocodile, also known by its chemical name desomorphine, is a synthetic opioid that is notorious for the horrifying physical effects it can have on users. Originally developed in Russia as a cheaper alternative to heroin, crocodile is typically made by combining codeine with toxic chemicals like lighter fluid, paint thinner, gasoline, hydrochloric acid, and even red phosphorus from matchstick heads. The nickname crocodile comes from the scaly greenish skin that forms where the drug is injected. Yup, you heard right. Your skin literally starts looking like a crocodile's because this stuff is so toxic it causes the tissue to rot. We're talking about skin peeling, scales forming, and bones becoming visible through flesh. You'll be looking like Green Goblin, bro. Except for like, super strength and a cool glider, you'll just have a life-destroying addiction to a UI opioid. Fair deal. Desomorphine itself is a powerful opioid, synthesized from morphine and more potent than heroin in terms of its pain-relieving effects. Crocodile doesn't just mess with your brain, it goes straight for the body. After shooting up, you get a brief heroin-like high, but the aftermath? The drug stops blood flow to your skin, which then dies and falls off. So if smelling like expired meat, looking like a jockey from Left 4 Dead sounds fun, crocodile is perfect for you. Although crocodile's high is similar to heroin, it's a much shorter kick, with effects usually lasting only about 90 minutes to 2 hours. This leads to a frequent need to inject, with each rep making you more goblin-y. And with how addictive this stuff is, a full transformation is usually weeks or even days away. Once injected, the toxic additives in crocodile begin to cause serious vascular damage, cutting off blood supply to tissues. This leads to necrosis, aka tissue death, often within days of regular use. Users commonly experience infections, abscesses, and gangrene at the infection sites. The skin around the sites may rot and decay, exposing bone and tissue. Some users even require amputations because of severe infections, which after hearing all this, you might understand why some people call it unhealthy heroin. Who's that guy? Oh, that's Tom. Yeah, he's into all types of messed up drugs. Damn, hate to say it. Yeah, don't talk to him. He's definitely a bad influence.
My name is Cecilia. I'm a mom of 2 girls, a psychologist, and I choose to transform my PVC
influence. Yet, assuming you don't want to lose your skin or arm for that matter, and instead wanted a safe way to enhance your vibe with known ingredients and consistent dosage, then today's sponsor, 5CBD, could be perfect for you. 5CBD offers 3 unique types of high-potency gummies, each crafted to get you vibing for every situation. Surge is similar to sativa, boosting your mood and vibe whilst keeping you energized. Vibes is a nice middle ground, allowing you to still stay productive whilst also chilling you out. And finally, my favorite, chill. These are best enjoyed when you're done with your day and just want to relax and unwind. 5CBD gets all their products third-party lab tested, which is why they are one of the most popular and trusted brands out there with over 20 million jars sold. They're also so confident you'll love their gummies, they're offering everyone watching this video a chance to get a free pack of them with no subscriptions attached. All you have to do is be at least 21, go to the description or pinned comment, pay for shipping, and get ready to enhance your vibe, brah. Let's move on and talk about a drug that is extremely dangerous, but in a much different way, and that is scopolamine. scopolamine, aka Devil's Breath. If a drug could win a supervillain award, scopolamine would sweep the category. Imagine something that could turn you into the world's politest zombie, calmly handing over your wallet and life savings to complete strangers and then thanking them on your way out. That's Devil's Breath in a nutshell. Scopolamine is classified as an anticholinergic drug, meaning it blocks acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter involved in memory, learning, and muscle control. This disruption in neurotransmission can cause hallucinations, amnesia, confusion, and loss of free will. Even in small doses, scopolamine can impair cognitive function, making users susceptible to suggestion, which is why it's sometimes exploited by criminals. High doses can lead to extreme sedation, paralysis, and unconsciousness. Basically, although not as physically harmful as crocodile, Devil's Breath literally makes you into a remote-control zombie. In some parts of South America, particularly in Colombia, scopolamine is infamous for its use in crimes. Criminals blow powdered Devil's Breath into the faces of unsuspecting individuals or add it to their drinks, rendering them compliant and susceptible to suggestion. Victims often experience antegrade amnesia, meaning they cannot form new memories. They may follow commands, give away personal belongings, reveal their bank information, or even assist in robbery while in this zombie-like state with no memory or little memory of the events afterward. Hello? Where am I? Who are... You're a Jack Doherty stream fan. Here, sit down and watch this for 6 hours. Wouldn't it be, like, more productive for you to have me rob a bank or give you my bank details or anything else? Nope. Well... fuck. It's not all super bad though. I mean, in modern medicine, scopolamine is still used in very controlled doses to treat motion sickness, nausea, irritable bowel syndrome, and to alleviate symptoms of Parkinson's disease. At therapeutic doses, scopolamine is relatively safe under medical supervision, but its effects increase dramatically with higher doses, leading to severe mental and physical side effects. All in all, if you have plans of becoming a supervillain anytime soon, this might just be the thing to get you going. Now though, moving on to the next substance, and that is Flocka, aka synthetic bath salts, aka alpha PVP. Flocka is basically the result of someone saying, you know what, bath salts aren't intense enough, bruh. It's a synthetic stimulant, and while the high might start as a short burst of energy, it quickly turns into an episode of The Walking Dead. Only this time the zombie is arguing with a mailbox cause it looked at him funny. So how does it work? Well, imagine you're suddenly the star of an action movie where you're invincible and can outsmart everyone. Except in reality, you're flailing around the street wearing one shoe and debating philosophy with a stop sign. Flocka disrupts the brain's dopamine system, so while you feel invincible, you're actually just terrifying every passerby.
Where are the Fruit Loops, you slime? You told me you'd give me my Fruit Loops today.
Excuse me, sir? Are you okay?
What? Of course I'm not okay, my fellow Space Ranger. This intergalactic death slime won't give me my goddamn Fruit Loops back. You got any dark matter on ya? I'm stumped without it, brah.
Come to Florida. It'll be great there, Flocka users often experience what's called excited delirium. In normal people language, that's overheating while trying to lift a car. The combo of a sky-high body temperature, Hulk-level aggression, and an indestructible sense of purpose is basically a recipe for disaster. Flocka has also been known to cause kidney failure and severe paranoia. So not only do you think the trash can is plotting against you, but now you need a whole new kidney, man. The worst part is, people tend to get hooked on Flocka faster than you can say, maybe this was a bad idea. It messes with the brain's reward system, so once the high fades, users often want more. And that's how you end up asking a lamppost for directions to the nearest dimensional portal. Flocka is not here for a fun time, neither a long time. If you value your dignity and don't want to star in a viral video titled Local Man Fights Tree, Loses, it's best to keep this one off your list. Now though, for the last substance that is very well known and extremely deadly. Something I've already talked about on this channel, but this one is an ongoing epidemic and destroying lives as we speak, so I feel like I have to mention it here as well. Fentanyl, aka death. Okay, so no one calls Fent death, but they should, because this drug is known for killing people like flies. It might not be as extravagant as the other substances in this video, but that does not mean it doesn't belong here. Fentanyl is an ongoing crisis in the US, meaning unlike crocodile or Flocka, which are niche drugs, by the time you finish watching this video, there will be at least one person who OD'd on Fent. Fentanyl is slipped into everything from coke, molly, other opioids, and yes, even weed. As Theo Vaughn said to Vice President-elect J.D. Vance,
I don't know if I'd be sober if
this stuff weren't killing people, to be honest with you. Which might have not been super appropriate to say, but you know, he's kind of right. There is no escape from fentanyl. You do it once and you're hooked for life, which means a couple days to a week or two max. Because if you're lucky enough to escape fent your first time, it'll get you so addicted, you'll most likely start considering selling your body on the streets to get more of this stuff. And then, well, OD and die. Hopefully, by the new appointed leaders of the free world, this awful pandemic could finally start declining, but until that day arrives, doing anything besides store-bought stuff is truly a deadly gamble. So in conclusion, maybe just stick to grass?
The first thing for me